the subject of fatherhood and the way it has changed. And I remember part of what I did in my thesis was on the impact of fatherlessness on the boy child, or on children in general. And I remember I worked with the children who are incarcerated at Kamete maximum prison, both boys and girls. They introduced a facility for girls, and I can tell you for a fact, I think we are having quite a big challenge. And one of the things, this, because we are talking about fathers and the changing faces of fatherhood. One of the things that struck me odd was when I worked with, or rather, I interviewed a 12, no, he was around 14 years boy. And he was there because of murder. And one of the things that really shocked me was that this 14-year-old boy had killed his own father, shot him dead. And at that time when he shot him was at the age of 11. Because he had gotten used to seeing the father coming home drunk, harassing everyone in the house, beating the mother. And this boy, right from the time he was growing up, he had this bitterness and wanting to revenge, but he did not know how. But unfortunately, he was recruited by some of his peers in the estate. Comes from some of these slum estates. Can't remember whether it was Matare, or I can't remember the exact place where the boy had grown up, and was recruited and was shown how to use a pistol. And yes, and to cut the long story short, he was given a pistol, I think at a small fee, I think somewhere in Dadora. And then this one evening, the father came as he was used to, quarreling and beating everyone, beating the mother. And that was the point at which the boy shot the father dead. And I think this is just one of the many cases that go unreported. And that tells us that there are a number of things that are changing at the moment. Initially, like our brother has said, parenting used to be communal, that anybody felt that they had that responsibility of wanting to correct a wayward behavior in a child, regardless of whether this is their children or not. But nowadays, I think things have really changed. And more so when it comes to being a father. We know, in fact, I think it was today or yesterday, was having a discussion with some people. And the discussion was around, the way God has privileged us, to call him a father. And looking at it through the earthly lenses, being called a father, that title, a father, it's a relationship term. But it's a relationship term, it's a relationship word, that when somebody is called a father, it is expected that that is going to come with responsibilities. And one of the things that I have realized is that when you grow up with a father who is not close to you, and a father who is a bit, not a friend to us, this has the potential to actually go down to generations, and this is very, very true. Now, talking about a father and the children growing without fathers, one of the things that I was that I noted during that research that I conducted, and it is all over, has been written by so many. And today, yesterday, I saw the Bishop of Christ is the Answer Ministries, Dr. David Oginde. He had written an article on a Standard newspaper, and he echoes, or he has said something very interesting here, that research has it that today, being honest with ourselves, we have to admit that we have got many fathers who are missing from too many lives and too many homes. I'm quoting him. They have abandoned their responsibilities, acting like boys instead of men. Now, I like what he touched, because I had also come across the same, that statistics have it that children who grow up without a father are 5 times more likely to live in poverty and commit crimes, 9 times more likely to drop out of schools, and 20 times more likely to end up in prison. They are more likely to have behavioral problems, or run away from home, or become teenage parents themselves. And the foundations of our community are weaker because of lack of a father. And I think this is something that we can all agree with, that lack of a father has got a lot of impact, not just on children that they are raising, but also in the entire community. Talk of the number, the number that was released by, I don't know what is the name of this body that released the figures, although we raised some doubts. Personally, I was not convinced. I was wondering how they were able to collect that data. Of the 4,000 children, girls, who were impregnated in Machakos. And thinking about the importance of a father, I was just wondering, because one of the things that I noted is that even the girls who grow up without fathers, they are more likely to have behavioral disorders and more so sexual disorders that touches on their sexual conduct. And when I read this, whether true or not true, the figures and the data that was released, I said to myself, oh, I wish I was able to find out, be able to find out how many of these children, if that was a true representation of what is actually happening on the ground, how many of these girls come from homes, without fathers. And when we talk about lack of a father, we could actually talk about a lack of a father because maybe the mother did not get married, or they got children out of wedlock. Or we could actually talk about lack of a father because the father is there physically, but very absent emotionally or even psychologically. And we also consider that as another bracket of, fatherlessness. And number 3, we could also talk of lack of a father because the father was there, and but he died. And one of the things that shocked me was that it is easier for a child to cope with life, or to be able to adapt to a life without a father because the father died, more than it is for a child to cope with life for any other reason for not having a father. So it is easier for a child to cope with the absence of a father as a result of death than any other reason. So these are some of the dynamics that we are looking at. And perhaps I could throw it back to us and share. Maybe we have observed, or we have maybe grown in a family without fathers for whatever reason, or we have observed in our interactions with people, in our relationships, at our workplace. What are we? What can we comment? What can we say about this situation of lack of a father? You know, in our surrounding communities, in our homes, we have got probably siblings, sisters who are not married, or children who call us uncles, and they have been raised without fathers. And then we shall be coming back to probably discuss what is it that is expected of a father. And I throw it back to us. I don't know whether Helen is back.
I am back, Moffat.
Okay, so you know you are the one to moderate us. So I'm playing the role of an interviewer and also one who is trying to give an opinion or an expert opinion.
Thank
so,
you.
Thank you. And
I was enjoying just listening to you as you do both all the roles.
Yes.
Okay, yes, and somebody is saying you're doing well. So I think I have picked so far. So one, I think today is an open discussion because we want to hear even from you, our participants and members, on this topic. And Francis Gashero, karibu sana. And just to be able to hear, even as we have been growing up, and many of us here now maybe are parents, how has the role of fatherhood been able to change? And what are the unique aspects that a father brings into the home or into the children's life that makes him a very critical element? Because I think we have forgotten that, Moffat. I think we have downplayed, or we have underplayed or minimized the role of a father subconsciously, and somehow that has had an effect in society. So I wanted to just hear what are those critical, because I think for the mother, for the woman, we know, I think we have overplayed that. It is very loud and clear, mother is very important and all those things. But then for a father, and more so from a mental health perspective, what are those gaps, that role, those issues that only a father can be able to play? And I've heard you, Moffat, talk about the statistics, or they're showing us. But even from now, like our society, our setting, what are those gaps that are there, and only, or those spaces only a father can be able to occupy, and hence be able to have understand the critical role of having a father in our society? Yes. And I think I also want to open it up, even as Moffat is sharing, I also want to open it up to many of us here who are in that place for parenting, and maybe you have been able to see or compare or note or observe. Yes.
Yeah, I think we can open the floor to all the members to contribute.
Okay. And someone is telling me, I feel we lost it when we empowered the girls and left the boys. I'm careful about going that way. Francis Gashiro, are you able to come in and comment?
You're able to hear me, Helen?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, I would wish to say this, that a father is this person who is able to offer the following to the children. Number one, protection. And when he is a child attack, he's able to protect the child even emotionally. He is able to protect there is absence of even the emotional. The child is not emotionally protected, and when the child grows without emotional protection, that child will exhibit a lot of emotions as he grows, and even as he interacts with the community. Therefore, I tend to believe that without the father, they end up engaging in activities that in criminal activities. The other thing I would wish to say is a critical role that is played by is the issue of authority. Where there is when the father comes in, you find a lot of voice in absence of I tend to believe that a father play a very critical role in making a family have an order, have of socialization, the authority and the governance. I would also wish finally to say that where the father is, and this father is able to bring all the members of the family together, such a situation, the family is more healthy. The family is able to move forward with the minimal hiccup of life. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much, Francis. I could hear you, and I hope the rest of us could hear. There's a bit of breakage. So I had the role of emotional protection. You know, our fathers, the fathers have a way of being firm, and you know, you don't bring mchezo hapo. And he's talked about, lastly, he said the issue of bringing order into the family, socialization and governance, and there's stability element that the father brings into the home. So thank you very much, Francis, for that. Consolata, I see your hand is raised. I'm going to unmute you. Go ahead, Consolata, to make your point. Kiara, Consolata, unmute and make your point.
Good evening all, and thank you, Helen. Thank you, Moffat, for good presentation. I enjoyed it because I enjoyed this role of the fathers quite a lot, because they are key in the development of the family. Fathers have responsibilities of role modeling, emotional control, and putting the family unit together. You will find that where the father is absent, the girl child will lose it, because at the age of 3, girl children really love their fathers unto death. And the boys just want to follow and emulate their fathers. So if the father is absent, you will find that the boy child will get lost, will keep asking the mother, "Mom, let me know who my dad is." And if the dad is not revealed, you'll find the boy child behaving in a manner that tends to present challenges to the mother throughout life. It can even result into fights. "Mom, I asked you who my dad is and you still have not told me." So they keep on and actually eventually get into emotional and psychological problems because the dad is not there. And you'll find that the girl child will behave badly in school because the father is not there to do as he's supposed to do in controlling whatever he has to be controlled at home. So she can even be delinquent in school, the girl child. and so will the boy child. So the father is actually there as unity of purpose. He has a purpose. The purpose made in heaven, because there is no one parent who is given that role to take care of the family. They must do it together and do it well as divine providence. So far, that is what I wanted to say. Helen and Moffat.
Thank you, Consultant. Now, Moffat, maybe you can come in and proceed from there and be able to just put all that into context.
Yes, those contributions are wonderful and they are real, and that is how it is. And Helen, I want to again say that, and there's something that I keep on saying, and I think I also mentioned it on Classic 105 yesterday, that a human seed is the only seed that is sown in secret, but it demands to know its origin. A human seed is the only seed that is sown in secret, but years later, it demands to know its origin. Now, one of the something else that I was able to discover is that today, and I think this is something that is also undermining the place of a father. There's also another aspect that I was able to discover that we currently, in modern times, we are also having children who are born, outside wedlock, and for that reason, they do not have a father because of another challenge of modernization or postmodernism, whereby we do have, and I'm saying this with all due respect for our sisters who are listening to me, we do have another challenge that we are experiencing today, because we are having another breed of women who are well educated, who have got good jobs, and they tend to feel like they don't want to have men to boss them around. And therefore they say, I have money, I have a good job, I have all that I need. And therefore, the only thing that I need is that is a child. And I am sure we have also witnessed this. We have heard in the news some years, actually 2 or so years ago, whereby, hello, is someone talking?
No, it's you, Moffat, go ahead.
Yes, whereby we are even having some young men whose work is to donate seed to some of these women, and they are paid a lot of money. We have read it in the both. We have seen it in the news, both electronic and print media, that we do have a breed of men, and at the same time a breed of women who are rich. They have money. And therefore, because they do not want to be bossed around by this thing called marriage, they purpose to remain single, not because they don't have someone to marry them, but because they just want, to choose their path of life in that manner. And therefore, there's something that I captured on that document, and I said, these are probably some of the women who have what I would call, malicious belittling of the place of a father, in a family. And I am telling you, Helen, I remember some years ago, I was able to, I had a case. I had a case of a boy, a son of a very prominent, lady that I cannot mention. very prominent, woman. And this boy, we ended up talking because he had been intoxicated. He was in drugs and all manner of things. And when we were talking, he told me that he feels so bad because, number one, he is fighting to know who his father is. And this is what I would call the natural push, or the natural thing that really demands and wants you to connect with your origin, like I have said. And I think this is the same reason why even some prominent people like former US President Barack Obama, even flying all the way from the United States to come and connect with his roots. We have been able also to read that in the news, the way he came to trace his roots, because there is that innate thing that propels every human being to want to connect to their origin. And therefore, this gentleman told me that he feels so mad because of his father, or rather his mother, who cannot reveal, his true identity. And number two, who actually, because of her busy schedules, working with the government and having a very busy schedule, did not have time for him, and instead, what she availed was a lot of money. She would come and at this point, the boy was in high school, and leave a lot of money, like 100,000 or so, and therefore, and again leave the car for this boy, fueled, and the money is there. So the money was so much, to a point that he felt that now he can try to use it on some other pleasures, and that is how he ended up in drugs. Then we do also have another dynamic today, whereby fathers have been reduced to, wallet fathers. Wallet fathers. Even those of us who are in marriage, that the only thing that people think you are there for is to provide for the children. And nowadays, of course, we know that everybody is in a hurry to make a name, to make riches, and to have something left for their children. And I remember one time I attended a meeting in one of my son's school, and we had a father's meeting, and I just sat to listen to the argument and the way men were talking about what they think a father ought to be. And I still remember one of them who passionately spoke to us and told us, "Oh, don't agree to be made to feel guilty for not being there for the children, because children can only identify with a rich father. Someone who is able to come and spoil them with whatever they need." In as much as that is important, what we are saying is that research has it that there is much more for a father, or what a father ought to be, than just that. The thing is that we ought to be mentors. We ought to be role models. We are examples even of success. And sometimes we are likely to be lost in what the society defines, the society's definition of a father. And I think, Helen, we were able to talk about this when we talked about the deception of masculinity. And for this reason, fathers have been absent, because we are lost in so many things. We are lost in cares and the worries of this life. And for that reason, you realize that children are going to miss us in that particular mix. Over to you, Helen.
Thank you, Moffat. You know, you are saying such thought-provoking points, and you have said some key points that have left me wondering. So what happened to is it that we woke up and then you found that men have somehow been is it displaced, or their role has somehow been confused or something? I'm trying to get to the point of what happens such that our society has somehow seemed to not really put emphasis and appreciate that critical role of the father. I'm still wondering, and I think I also want to open up to the men and women who are here to help me understand, and many people there, because the issue of the women who have said or who have felt they don't need the man or the father in the okay, I don't want to go the marriage way, but just that aspect of feeling that the children don't need a father, and the point of also a father being for the wallet. What did you call him? Wallet fathers, or what did you call them?
Yes, the wallet father.
The wallet fathers. So I'm trying to just, is it that there was a phase or a particular point in our lifetime or in history of when we've been alive that fathers somehow, their role somehow seemed to either weaken or it was shaken, and then we realized when it is a bit too late, and now we are having to run all over to somehow again put it in place. Are you getting my question?
I think, Helen, yes, I'm getting you. Yes. And I think the greatest tragedy that we are having today is that we think that we can substitute our presence with the present, you know? Mm-hmm. Presence versus present. Mm-hmm. And this aspect of being ATM, I have seen Liz here saying, you know, ATM fathers or wallet fathers, is whereby we are lost and we are drowning in these pressures of life of you know, wanting to really validate our worth as fathers, you know, basing it on what we are able to do and what we are able to achieve and our success. And in that mix, because we have been probably, you know, dishing out money, the wallet fathers, thinking that that is going to replace or can be substituted with our presence, you know, with our children. And when it is too late, you know, we come to realize that that was actually not the right path for us to follow when it is too late, because we have seen children whose parents have left them a lot of inheritance. And I keep telling parents in my forums that if we are able to invest in our children, they will be able to take care of our titles, you know, the title deeds and stuff like that, and all that riches that we leave for them. Mm. But the moment we invest for them without investing in them, it will not be an issue for them even to tear those title deeds in pieces as they fight and, you know, being in court, trying to fight for that wealth that you created for them because you created it in their absence. And I think there's one thing I admire from the Asian community. You know, every time that I visit with their shops, and I'm telling you, Helen, you will see those guys even introducing their children and their children's children into their businesses, you know, trying to show them how it works, you know. And someone told me that actually a child in that community will be placed somewhere, you know, in the chain of that particular business so that they are able to learn and they are able to know how things are supposed to be done. And then they will be graduated from, you know, from a certain stage in the chain, you know, before they come to the point of handling money. They have been thrown to the store. They have been recruited, and they have they have observed, they have watched, because like we say that children do not listen with their ears, they listen with their eyes. And that is why in the Asian community, you will agree with me that we have got businesses that have lasted for years and years and years, and everything has been inherited. And I think to some of us, that is, I think, an area that we are failing terribly, because if we are able to learn something from this particular community, the fathers are there to mentor, they are there to guide. Hesabu inafanywa hivi, you need to take care that the workers we have, when they are getting the stuff from the store, there are some things that are likely to be lost. You know, they are taught even how to be custodians. But then us, and I am including myself, we we just throw everything to the wind, and we just we think that you know, we throw our children to the fate of life. So we are busy investing, wallet fathers, investing for them. But then when we are not there, when we close our eyes, they are not able to take care of whatever else that we invested for them. So investing in them, teaching them how system works, I think it's very, very critical. And I think that is one aspect that we have failed. I don't know whether I got you right, Helen.
Thank you, Moffat. And I want to allow you to even just take some water or something as we ponder. And I want to open it up now even to the rest of us. So is it that because I know that there was the past or the old way of fathering, and then there's the modern way of the modern fatherhood is very different from the past fatherhood. I tend to think that, and I saw that was what was being discussed earlier on when I was a bit away. But so is it that the fatherhood has gotten somehow confused in the new role? And then number two, an emerging issue is the issue of very many men who are fathering and refusing to take up responsibility. And maybe asking us as psychologists, what does this mean for us? And we know now we have the issue of very many teenage pregnancies. And there we saw a lady in Bungoma, I think she's 14 or 13, who gave birth to 3 boys. So asking ourselves, what is, for there seems to be a generation of young men who have realized they can get away with not fathering the children they have sired. And I'm wondering, what does this mean for that generation, for those many children, because we are talking about teenage pregnancies? What does it mean for the many girls who are bringing up children without fathers? How will that society, the society born during COVID-19 because of what was happening today, and the men don't take responsibility, so the young men somehow seem, maybe they're confused. What does that mean for us as a society, as a country, going forward?
I think we can as well throw the question to the floor.
Yes, definitely. And I see a comment from Liz. She was saying Samuel Kanja has his hand raised. I'm getting to you, Samuel, just a minute. And then so Liz is saying, listening with action more than words. Someone has said, your actions speak so loud, I do not hear what you say. Very good. I feel the role of a father has been eroded because of socialization that has equated money and manhood. Then we have telephone fathers who are, because they are very busy. Francis Gashero says, Moffat, thank you for good work. A father is irreplaceable and substitutable. Those without a biological father can be mentored by a good man, requested by the mothers to do so, with well laid down guidelines without emotional attachment with the mother. Okay, thank you for that, Gashero. Samuel Kanja, unmute and go ahead to make your comment or question.
Yes, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
Yeah, so I think I like the conversation. Thank you, Moffat, for that. I think this is a conversation that we need. especially as men, and also for the ladies to hear what is in the mind of men. I think the most important thing is to understand where did the issue of the father and the mother come. This is something in the word of God, or rather divine. And this is something which is not debatable in any community. It's not like other things which are in the Bible, and we keep debating here and there. This is something that you go to the Hindus, you go to the Muslims, you go to the Christians, you go to the pagans, you go in the traditional African society, you'll find the issue of the father is very strong. And I think the closest you can get to God is by being a father. And that's why you see fathers actually using the same name as God, Father. And in that father, there is a lot of assurance. And being a counselor and also a life coach, I've come across many cases. Like last year, not last year, but 2018, I had around 5 cases of 4 boys and then 1 girl. Surprisingly, all of them, there was no father in the picture. And where the father was there was separation. And statistically, that was not by coincidence. So the role of the father, I think the ladies who choose may be by choice. You know, there are those circumstances that make someone a single mother, and some of them, you may not do so much about it, but there are those ladies who choose. I just want a kid, I bring them up, I don't want marriage and all that. Sometimes it's not easy for those children because they have failed to experience one side of the other parent. The good thing is that in case it is by circumstance, you can willingly maybe pick a direction, maybe a mentor, maybe a relative who can work with the boy or the girl. Because even girls who grow without a father, they are also affected in a particular way. So I think we cannot look at the issue of a father, and that's why when we were celebrating the issue of the Father's Day, many people talk about responsible fathers. And I think sometimes it's unfair to use that word, not because I would encourage irresponsible fatherhood, but a father is a father in the simplest way they participate. They may not do everything, maybe as per our expectation, but I think the little that they do, they also need support. Because fathers go through a lot, even to do the least that they do. But again, we also need to understand the changing world as I conclude. Nowadays, the ladies are working. And now that they are working, there are situations where maybe they're even earning more than maybe the guys or the fathers. And that is also changing the perspective, where we think the issue of fathering or mothering can be equated to the issue of the money that you have, you can provide. A father is not only a provider. And the issue of being a father is so deep that you may not even be providing, but you are still providing the leadership. It doesn't mean that now during COVID you have lost your job, you cease being a father. No, you continue even being a better father because maybe you have more time. So I think it's something that the ladies who are here support those men. They may not be as strong, but just support them. Sometimes not for your sake, but for the sake of the children.
Thank you, Samuel. Thank you, Samuel, for that contribution, that the role of a father is something which is clearly very important. It is a multicultural issue. It cuts across the various societies, religions, and that's a very fundamental point to be able to have. Admin says, I would call it effective father. Okay, and yes, we have a few minutes to go, like 7 minutes to go. So as we wind up, Moffat, back to you.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Where the modern father, where is he?
Thank you. Thank you for that question. I think he is torn between so many things. He's torn between so many things, and unfortunately, because of the society that we are living in, the way we have been socialized, the way we think that like what Samuel has said, that being a father is just to, the material provision. I think the modern father is lost in a number of things. And maybe before I forget, because there's a point I wanted to give a rider on what Samuel has said, that I keep asking, and especially when I'm doing a couple counseling, and sometimes, you know, a couple that wants to go separate ways, and they do not involve the children in the decision that they are making, or rather they do not even care about how children are going to feel. All what they are obsessed about, or all what they are concerned about, is their own pain. You know, the man has hurt me, the lady has hurt me, and therefore I want to call it quit. And it is the same question that I ask, that I pose even to some of those women who will want to live their lives without men to boss them around. There's this one question, that do you love your children? And of course, the answer is affirmative, that yes, they do love them. And number two, if you love them, do you love their choices? And the answer to that is, of course, yes, we love and we honor their choices. And if you honor their choices, this comes as the third question: what makes you want to deny them a choice of having a father? And when it reaches to that point, most of them will go mute, because many times we are so much obsessed with our own pain, we are drowning in our own pain, to a point that we do not care that the children are actually part of the equation, and especially when they are growing, you know, they are small children. Now, the modern father is lost in this mix. Number one, torn between, you know, wanting to provide, measuring up with the standards that the society has set for him. He is also lost in or what psychology calls the external locus of control. You know, he's so much listening and hearing, and wanting to keep up to the definition that the society and the family and other people have, you know, the bar that they have raised for him. And I can not help but just feel sorry and sad about us, because it is not easy, you know, being a father in modern time. It's not easy, and this is something that actually needs to be appreciated and to be accepted. Number three thing is that a father gives identity to his children. And this is a question for those of us who are counselors. It is a question that you cannot afford to forget to ask your clients who come to you seeking to be helped. And especially when you realize that the children are at risk, that yes, fathers give identity to their children. And I keep even in my forums pleading with our sisters, with the ladies, that, you know, I have even seen some very funny situations whereby parents are parting ways, and of course they go their separate ways, and then you hear one of the parents, and many times in the African society, sometimes you will realize that, and even in the court of law, and I think these are some of the things that should actually be pushed even through an act of parliament, whereby I have seen several cases. Number one, we had an issue somewhere in Okambani whereby the court had decided that to give the mother custody of the children and there was one child that really screamed and said that she cannot go with the mother because the only person she has known is the father in the entire life. And it was said that this mother disappeared from her from this child's life when she was so tiny. And then after some time, she comes back and she goes to court. And I think this is something that really needs to be reviewed, because I also saw a court that wanted to undermine and to suppress, you know, the choice of a child. And I think this is so critical. And I keep telling even mothers that this business of wanting to protect your children, that you do not even want the father to have access, however bad he may be. I keep telling people, and especially in a church context, when I'm speaking in a church context, the Bible says that honor your father and mother. It did not say the good one. It did not say honor. And God was so wise when he had that written down. Honor your father and mother, not the good one. And this business of wanting to build an alliance with our children against one parent, I think it is not fair, because even those children, when they will grow up and you have managed to control them, you have managed to keep them within your own boundaries as a mother or even as a father, a time is coming, and because we have said that the human seed is the only seed that is sown in secret, but it demands to know and to be identified with its origin, you will not have any control over them. Over to you, Helen. I am done.
You, Moffat, you sound like those classic 105 people we know we normally hear in the morning. And thank you for the good job you're doing, even educating the masses over the airwaves on the importance of having a counselor in those conversations. So I see a lot of feedback, and thank you for the way you have said that. Though I think I still have more questions, but time will not allow for us today. But I think we still need to go on discussing, highlighting, emphasizing, understanding, clarifying. There's a lot to be done in the area of masculinity and fatherhood. So much to be done that I think we need to have a continued engagement. And even in the society, seeing how do we mentor the boys, because you see those boys who are not fathered, Moffat, they will marry your daughter.
True.
To bring trouble to your home. So we can't say because they're not our children, they're not in our family, that we can turn a blind eye. So seeing how us as counselors within our circles, how do we extend beyond where we are to be able to extend that mentorship to other children who don't have that father figure to do the mentorship role in their lives.
Can I say something, Helen?
Yes, go ahead.
Before I miss something that has come to my mind. The question of, and I really thought about these children who have been impregnated, because they have been impregnated by our sons. And it is so sad. It is very unfortunate. And I think, and perhaps this can start with us as fathers, those of us who are in this forum and they are hearing us. When it comes to parenting and as fathers, do you know the issue of having our sons value and respect our daughters and respect girls, even in their relationships, can as well be modeled by fathers. It is us fathers to model that. And if I can give an example, I remember, I think sometime last year but one, my boys, I have two boys. The firstborn and secondborn are boys. And I remember one day, I found them, roughing up the mother, and because the mother had come with something, the way the children will want to come and see what their mother has brought. And it happened that she had bought some, I think some chocolate or something of that nature. And these boys, I found them actually bullying their mother, because the mother is telling them, Gojeni sapa, lakini wao they are insisting, we want to eat this fast. And it became like a fight. So nikaingia nikasikiza, and I had them, like bullying the mother, we have to have this. And you know what? It became a fight, between me and them. And I told them, have you ever had me or seen me bully your mother? Have you ever had me talk to her the way you are talking to her? And my discipline or my infliction of pain on them was based on that. What am I saying? I may not be, and I'm not saying that I am the best of parents, but I'm saying the question of us modeling our children, our sons, to value the female gender, to value their sisters, to value their sisters' sexuality. It will begin by us. We need to deconstruct this idea of, defining man as one who is on a mission to a sexual conquest, because I think this is again what is being reflected by our own sons. And therefore, it's a battle that can be fought in our families, in our homes, in our houses, trying to model the respect. Like we said, our children hear with their eyes. Thank you. So what are they seeing us doing? Yeah.
Thank you, Moffat. And I'm seeing a lot of feedback. And before I read, I've just remembered something you said, and even just the point earlier on about someone saying that we have really empowered our girls. I feel even in the home environment, sometimes we unknowingly disempower the boy child or set them up for failure, because even in our culture, so to say, like the Father's Day, some of the memes I've seen, the father is holding the remote and telling people, "I want to watch the TV, don't disturb me." And some of the boys seem to emulate that their role in the home is like their father, to sit down, to expect food to be prepared, and that's kind of a picture. And from when girls are young, they are taught so many things. They are taught to learn how to cook food, to prepare, to not even buy the ingredients from the market, to prepare the food, to cook it, to taste the salt, to present it, to wash the clothes. I mean, so many things that girls are put through, which I mean, the songs are sung every day. You have to be clean as a girl, you have to be tidy. So I think we should discuss that even in future. I just thought about it as you're sharing it. Sometimes I think our society, and unknowingly we disempower the boy child, thinking we are empowering them, but setting them, because that the girl is learning processes. She's learning how to be patient. She's learning how to go through the life in the home. The boy is now learning his own way of doing things, which I think that they're told not to go to the kitchen. I mean, then now you come to the modern fatherhood, whereby you're both working, you both need to cook, you both need to. So I think in a different day, Moffat, we will go into that and see.
Yeah, I think that boils down to the question of gender stereotyping.
Yes, could we see how then to work around that? So thank you. Twala is saying, I'm so proud of you, Moffat. This session is such an eye-opener. Please go to the media so you reach more people with this amazing wisdom. Amen to that. True children need to know the identity. This is Amani. A young lady in Uganda is currently appealing to be helped to trace her Kenyan dad. Imagine she's over 25 years.
Because of the innate nature, the innate energy, wanting to relate to our origin.
Yes. Rosemta said, a very rich content, so relevant. Thanks a lot. Honor your father, the biblical principle, honor your father and mother. The underline, the very key statement of what you said. Kimani Gidongo says the Kambani case decision was reviewed and the custody restored to the father. The law is clear on parental responsibility. Maybe we have more time to go with that as well. Very informative session. Poor parenting styles have pushed very many children to abnormal world where they don't understand themselves. Okay, very true. Fathers give children identity. So I'm seeing good feedback, encouraging feedback. Thank you, Moffat. Thank you, everybody. Someone is saying, I would like you to look at a situation in Nyeri where the women are very strong. The girls see their mothers and would continue with the same spirits. Okay. I don't want to go there. It's a controversial one. Identity is so important to mankind. Lack of it causes psychological disturbance. Such cases can sometimes cause a challenge during counseling. Okay. So thank you, Moffat. I think I'm somewhere. I'm not yet there, but I'm somewhere. I think we'll need more persuade on or more sessions to be able to understand what is happening in our society, or maybe research actually to be able to help us understand what is happening on the ground. Tomorrow we talk about sex and teens. So we have been asking what is happening. Finally, we get to talk about it, sex and teenagers. Yes, from somebody who's an expert in that area. So see you tomorrow and have a very good evening. Thank you very much, Moffat. We really appreciate, and we look forward to your next session. Yes.
Thank you.